Today I'm sitting down to talk about a really important topic that affects a lot of us who are in the process of decluttering. And it's when it gets hard, those tough decisions where we kind of go back and forth and we can't seem to decide what to do. I think this is a big challenge a lot of us face as we start to declutter, and I just want to have an honest, real chat about it. So today I'm sitting down here in my sort of studio space. I haven't shot a video here in a little while, and I don't know quite why. I think I was just having fun working with a different camera and moving around to different spots in my home. But I feel so cozy being back in here. I actually decided to come down here because it was a little bit rainy and stormy today, and I was not getting any good natural light. So I came down to where I have a bunch of lights set up. Being down here feels really cozy for a chat about when it gets tough. But I first just want to acknowledge that decluttering is hard. And I feel like sometimes when you see YouTube videos or Instagram reels or whatever it is about people who declutter, it's like they edit it down so that it's this quick transformation and you see the before and after. And quite often I even hear people talk about decluttering who naturally are good at decluttering, like they don't have a sticky brain like I do, where I tend to like to collect and keep things. But the reality is, for most of us, we have been socialized for most of our lives to collect, to keep, and that our belongings say something about who we are, our value, what we can offer this world. It reflects something about our tastes, our preferences, our interests, and our stuff is a way for us to relate to and communicate with others. And we're also constantly inundated with ads. Anytime we go anywhere, anytime we open up our phone, we see a bunch of ads telling us to collect more. And now with things like overnight shipping and easy access to ordering something online, it's just so much easier to collect. So in order to make it less hard, I think it's important to realize why it's hard. And I think there are 3 core reasons why decluttering tends to be hard. I think there are other reasons too, but these are 3 that really come up a lot for me while I'm decluttering. The first is that I think I will use it. I keep something because I believe at some point in the future, there is going to be a purpose for this belonging. But realistically, if I haven't used it in the last year or 2 or 10, it might be a sign that I don't need to keep it. Because the longer I have it and don't use it, the higher the chances are I will never use it again, or I won't remember where it is when I do want to use it. A second reason why it might be hard to part with something is because I feel tied to it for emotional or sentimental reasons. So maybe I don't necessarily think I'll use it much in the future, but there's some kind of emotional connection to the belonging. Maybe there's a fear that I'll forget a memory if I don't keep coming back to it or coming across it. But the problem is usually the only time that I'm going back to those memories is when I'm decluttering and going through a whole bunch of stuff in like a storage space or my basement. And realistically, in those moments, yes, it's nice to reminisce, but I'm only doing it as a chore. It's like all in the context of me trying to declutter. And so it's not even that enjoyable to reminisce. And sometimes it's about being okay with letting some of those memories go, or finding other ways to commemorate those times. I think that's a lot of it for me, the fear of forgetting maybe a person in my life or some kind of experience that I had that was meaningful to me. But I do think that there are other ways to remember, whether it's taking a picture of the belonging and filing that away in an organized way. But there isn't just one way to remember a memory, and quite often objects just cause more strife and difficulty if you keep them around. A third common reason for keeping something is guilt. And this can be guilt for a variety of reasons. A common reason is that it's a gift, or it's related to a relationship, or maybe it's simply that I haven't used it much and I feel like I should. Like at one point I decided to purchase this and I feel wasteful if I just declutter it. But realistically, if I haven't used it up until this point, it's not making me less wasteful by just having it sitting there. And I think instead, kind of overhauling your life and facing those belongings and decluttering them will inform you for future purchases, hopefully, so that you're less wasteful in the long run. This is about breaking those habits, opening up to accept that maybe you've made some mistakes with over collecting in the past, but that's okay, and you are learning from those mistakes and you are moving forward. So now that I've chatted with you a little bit about some of the reasons that at least have come up for me as to why it makes decisions difficult, I want to give you a few examples of things I found recently in my basement space that I feel like I should declutter, but I'm still kind of struggling with, and I want to talk out my thought process with you because I do think that sometimes if we slow down the process for those really tough pieces and think through our thought process, it can help us gain more clarity. Like, oh, okay, this logic is a little bit faulty. Like maybe I'm tempted to keep this for not great reasons. So the first object that was hard for me to declutter and that I haven't technically decluttered yet are these Pampas branches. And you might be familiar with them because they're actually in the background here. I got a set of, I think, 6, and I have 4 of them back there right now, but not all of them fit in the glass receptacle I have for them. So these were just 2 extra that I had that have just been sitting around in my house and that I don't really have a use for, but I kept them at this point probably for years since I set up the studio. I don't know why. I think I felt bad that I had purchased them. I think I thought maybe I could make some kind of other arrangement of plants or flowers with them, or I could buy more Pampas and then make a more full vase to put somewhere else in my house. But realistically, that would require me then to purchase more belongings because then I would have to purchase another vase. I might have to purchase more Pampas or some other dried kind of flower or grass in order to fill this out. So instead of dealing with these and donating them or tossing them out in some way, I have just had them sitting in the corner of one of my rooms where they look kind of sad and scrawny, and eventually I moved them down to my basement storage space. But the thing is, because these are so delicate, they're first of all very large on their own, but they need that extra space so that nothing hits them, so that they don't have a bunch of pieces falling to the ground, so that they're not bent or anything. So what ends up happening is these 2 stems take up way more space than they really need. A lot of space. I mean, look at how big they are. And what's interesting to me right now that I'm noticing as I'm talking about this is that now that I'm explaining my thought process, it's so clear to me that I should declutter these. But even when I picked these out as something that I would talk about for this video, I wasn't sure if I actually should declutter them. If I had a plan for them right now and wanted to use them, maybe I would keep them, but they're just taking up space, which is meaningful because one way I like to think of it is that my belongings are actually kind of sucking up money from me as they sit there. They're sort of paying rent for the space they have, because space in any home, square footage, that's money. I think I need to let them go. Gosh, like I said, just talking this out really helps clarify things for me. So if you're struggling to declutter something, I recommend even just talking it out loud to somebody close to you, to somebody who's supporting you on your minimalism journey, or even talk out loud to yourself. I don't know, somehow saying it out loud is helpful to me. So here's a second example, this little connector piece for a vacuum. I don't know why I consider this a difficult thing to declutter, because now that I'm showing it to you all, again, I'm kind of like, I should declutter this very clearly, but I found this piece and I'm not sure exactly how it fits in with the vacuum I have. Basically, my parents gave me their old vacuum when they were moving, which was super nice of them. I use it all the time. I've never had this piece near the vacuum when I use it, so I've never used it. I've never really craved a need for something this size. I have another kind of connector that's smaller that gets into corners, and I'm not even sure that this one actually fits to that vacuum. It might actually be a vestige of a different vacuum. In reality, if I have not been craving another connector piece in this shape, if I don't feel the need to have it, if I've never missed it, and I can't really think off the top of my head of a real use for this, and I also don't know where the connector is to the rest of the vacuum, I think it's a sign I should probably let this go. Maybe this is a reminder to not just keep those extra specialized tools because of obligation. A third example of something I'm considering decluttering is this pillow, and I haven't been able to use this ever since we got Ginger, which she's just over 2 years old now, so it's been probably almost 2 years. She tends to like to eat at these little fluffy things. They remind her, I think, of her rope bones, and it's really annoying to have to constantly pry her off of this pillow. And so I eventually just put it in my basement storage area because I couldn't take it anymore. And you know what they say with dogs, it's like prevention is key. Don't give them the things that tempt them to be little scoundrels. So I decided to put this away in storage, but I haven't missed it. It also is a little bit itchy. Like, it is a high quality wool, which is nice, but it's not that comfortable on your face. It's also started to kind of come apart in various spots, partially because of Ginger, but also partially because I've had this pillow cover for years. As I'm creating this video, I'm realizing this new strategy to declutter is just like talk about why to declutter it, because again, this was one where I felt kind of bad, like I should keep it, it's nice, I was so excited when I first bought it. But those aren't reasons to keep the belonging. It is, again, just taking up space. It's making me pay rent for it. Again, it's kind of a large object that I'm just not using. I think it is time to retire this piece. I don't know why, but talking about those few examples made me feel free to declutter them, and it made me feel even better about the decisions I made. Anyway, I hope this video just helped you think about things to consider when you're confronted with a hard decluttering decision, because believe me, I know decluttering can be really tough, and there are lots of things, emotions, reasoning, justifications, pulling you in to try to keep things because you have been socialized to collect and to keep. But that's not your fault. And there is a way out. There is a way to step back and say, there's more I want out of life. I don't want to just spend my life cleaning up my stuff. I want freedom, and I'm willing to make some slight sacrifices in order to pursue the freedom I could feel if I just had a bit less. Anyway, let me know what's been hard for you to declutter lately or how you deal with those hard decisions. I'd love to hear, because this is something I still struggle with, so I am all ears. If you found this video helpful or you enjoyed it, please hit the thumbs up button. It's a great way to support the channel. And if you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button below. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today, but thank you so much for spending this little bit of time with me, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!